Hello and welcome. This is Chinmayee Abbey. I'm an internationally certified career coach, and I welcome you once again to our series, Exploring Life with God. Now, what is the series? What is the idea behind? In here, we invite guests from all walks of life every single time to meet us, and we ask them questions about God, about their life with God. So we're truly exploring life with God, the ultimate. And the one thing that stands common amongst all these guests is that they've all established a beautiful relationship with God and they live with Him day in and day out. So today, before I bring on another special guest, I want to quickly introduce him. It is indeed an honor to introduce a very special person, Mr. Rahul Swaroop, a seasoned professional, a distinguished professional with a rich experience of over 4 decades in the IT and services industry. Rahul's career is marked by exceptional leadership and a commitment to delivering high quality services. As an IIT Kanpur alumnus, he has held senior positions at the Citibank, SIFI, and Tata Communications, making significant contributions to their success stories. Now, for over a decade, Rahul has been an entrepreneur, a mentor, a strategic advisor, guiding numerous organizations in the ever evolving technology landscape. His profound industry knowledge and strategic insights provide these IT companies with a competitive edge. And I am truly grateful for his time today. On that note, bringing on Mr. Rahul Sarup. Hi, Rahul. Are you here?
Hey Chinmay,
Welcome,
how are you? Good
welcome,
afternoon.
welcome. Good
Thank you so
afternoon.
thank you so much.
Uh, First and foremost, thank you so much for making the time, Rahul. And I'm truly excited and looking forward to this conversation with you.
It is my privilege. It is my privilege that I am be able to participate in this conversation and share my experiences what about God. So thank you so much for having me as well.
Pleasure, Rahul. So for our audiences, this is Rahul. And, as I was talking about, what really brings us together is this. Okay.
Yes.
We are all connected to God. And as I think as of today, there must be millions of people who are connected with God, Rahul,
Yes,
right?
I would think so. I would think so. And this number is increasing every day.
And it's been a blessing. And I'm going to keep mum now and I want to hear all about it from you. So before we start today, can you tell us briefly, quickly about yourself first?
Well, I was born in Allahabad, which is now called
Hmm.
Prayagraj. I did my schooling from there, and then I did my graduation from IIT Kanpur. And then after that, I've been in the corporate world for almost 40 plus years. I spent time only in India in my corporate jobs, around 16 years in Mumbai, 14 years in Noida, Delhi, and 11 years in Chennai. I got married almost 37 years back. I have one daughter. And I think in some ways, my education with IIT defined my persona. Being an engineer, I was a rational person. However, as we have gone along, I've had some experiences which sort of told me that everything that we can see through our five senses is not the reality. There are many more things beyond it. And so the paranormal was something that, has always been interesting me. And so that's what I am about. Otherwise, I like literature, both English and Hindi. I love music. I also write sometimes. So that is who I am.
Wow. Wow. What an incredible journey, Rahul. Uh, in my own experience, I've felt that when I look back to my own life, I feel this has been such a huge landmark, meeting God, being with God. And I just want to clarify that, there is no organization, there is no community here per se. We are just people, normal human beings who were evolving. And in our own journeys, we felt blessed because we felt called and we've been able to establish this connect with God, just to clarify.
Absolutely. And
Uh, yes,
there is no organization. It is
yes,
everybody's personal journey. So it is
absolutely.
not as if we are a clan, we are an organization. There is no
Yes.
structure. It's everybody's individual connect with God.
And everybody's invited also.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Absolutely.
So, as I was sharing about my own life, and I feel when I look back, I can very easily distinguish and break down my life into two slots: before meeting God and after meeting God, right? So
Absolutely.
what about you, Rahul? How will you define your journey before meeting God and after meeting?
Well, let me say this way that my wife, Roli, she has been an avid seeker. And over the last several years, she's been seeking, going to various modalities. And being the good husband that I am an explorer. So what used to happen, she used to go to modalities and she used to sort of, experience that, come back and tell me, let's go and, you also experience it. So that is how it has been. And so before meeting God, I was an explorer. I met God, first time in February 2017 when I did the first workshop. And after that, all the exploring has stopped. For me, somewhere, this is it. This is what it is. And while I may want to describe it in words as to my experience after meeting God, but words are not sufficient. They don't describe in the real sense what we feel. For example, I can say that there's more stability, there's more acceptance, there is more ease, there is more peace in life, there is more sense of completion. But then, in the absolute terms, if you see, as the journey goes on, there is a greater degree of depth which is coming in terms of ease and peace, for example, in terms of acceptance, in terms of the resistance dropping. So it has been a wonderful experience, after I've met God.
Wow, wow. It's truly incredible, Rahul, and thank you for sharing. And, I'm feeling a little emotional right now because I can so relate with, when you talked about Roli, your wife. My journey has been very similar. I have been an avid seeker, and my husband, Sumit, I think you met him. So,
Yeah.
he just followed. And there is a very different level of acceptance and connection with God when you can connect as a family. You know
Yes.
what I mean? And we know people who have not been able to achieve that. So we know that their journey can be slightly difficult. But imagine when you have, and the whole family follows the same direction.
Yes.
And the most important person in your life, not that you're seeking approval, but you're on the same journey somewhere. There's a different level of support, and even your relationship goes to a very different level.
It makes it a lot easier. The grace is much more there.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, Rahul, my next question to you was, what brought you to God, and what made you choose God? I think you already talked about the first half.
Yeah.
Your wife was instrumental in bringing you to God.
Yeah.
But at that point of the moment of truth, when we were asked that now you can decide if you want to choose God. There was this moment in time, and even though nothing is permanent, you have to keep choosing God because there are the whole world and so many powers, and uh, there's so much else happening, as you said, in the world, which is not perceivable with your five senses. So every single time, how do you continue to choose God despite adversities?
Yeah. So as I said, I first came to God in February 2017 when we went to a workshop in Amritsar. And in hindsight, when I step back and see somewhere, I had chosen God even before I went to the workshop. And the reason I'm saying this is that, I am somebody who always was on the edge. Being an observer, I never jumped into the middle of action. But somehow before I went to the workshop, I told Roli that let us facilitate this workshop in Delhi as well. I don't know what happened to me or why I said that. And of course, that is something that I expressed as a desire to Pradeep sir as well. And he said, sure, I will check with God. And, sure enough, April 17, we had one workshop in Delhi. But that is
It was
hindsight.
the first workshop in Delhi. Wow.
That is a hindsight. However, if I
Mm.
talk about it from a transaction point of view, because finally we are also, very transactional in nature. So in the initial stages, it was my awe and my, reverence for Pradeep sir. I mean, he has a huge amount of knowing, and mind you, I'm saying knowing and not knowledge. And while the oceans have limitation in terms of depth and vastness, I think his depth of knowledge or knowing is huge. That is one.
Okay.
And the second thing was that, we were all in love with him in the way, the simplicity that he has. He's so vulnerable. He's so, forthcoming. So that attracted us in the beginning, especially me. However, as we went forward, I realized that something beyond the mind started choosing God. And it was no longer around, the intellectual stimulation when you go and at least search
Logic.
the
Mm.
conversation or logic. it was something else beyond it. And, we may call it different things like God particle or whatever, but clearly the grace of God, what made me choose God and stay with him. So that is where the journey became totally different. And we would have gone to almost every workshop except when we are not in India or when my daughter got married. So we have loved this journey and stayed with God.
Wow. Wow. There's so much to take in. And, since you mentioned about Pradeep sir,
Yeah,
there's something so profound about him. And, I just want to clarify, maybe you also want to add a little bit here, Rahul, please feel free, that even though the step one happens with Sir holding your hand, right? And as he, in his own words, he says, I'm like this entrance to the world of God, and only that much, and he clarifies time and again, and he says that, to not get attached to me and my persona. And if you remember in the conversation rendezvous with PradipMukherji, he mentioned that how uncomfortable he is to have his picture on this book. But
yeah,
it wasn't matter of his choice. So I just wanted to clarify a little bit that he himself has, even though he is what he is, and words are not enough. I feel I run short of words to express what we know and how we've seen him. Uh, his aura and his knowing, as you said, but even then he constantly reiterates that, do not get attached to me, in the whole world where, we have been misled by gurus and so many godmen. And he says that, if you begin to get attached to me, you forget why you were here in the first place,
he he
right?
always
And
he always says it is between you and God now.
yes,
He said it is
yes,
you to choose God. You have to sort of be with God. I've just
yeah,
shown you the
yeah.
made you meet God in that sense. Yes,
And he keeps clarifying time and again that, I am not God. I am just
absolutely.
mode and that door of entrance, so to speak. And
Yeah,
then it's all between you and him, which
yeah,
is so incredible. And there's so much to learn from him, that how he's constantly been in that zero, in that place of,
yeah.
uh, I don't know how to express that, just in case if you have a better word.
Yeah, I know. I mean, he has been such a wonderful experience in terms of his simplicity plus his clarity. And as we go forward, I would want to sort of talk a little more about my personal experiences. I went through this journey
Yes,
in the
please go on.
so in the sense that I have seen this world, this workshops evolve. And mind you, I mean, when I say I have seen, it's been a journey that we all went together, and
Yeah,
every
just to clarify, Rahul, if
yeah,
may I. So you have been with God and got introduced to him in 2017, right? So that makes it
yes,
what, 7 years?
7 years, 7+ years, yeah, that's right.
7 plus years. Wow, wow. Okay,
And
keep on.
yeah, go ahead. You were asking something.
No, no, I was just, wanted to clarify. It's been 7 years,
Yeah.
and you were sharing how this workshop had evolved.
Yeah, so what I'm saying, choosing God is one thing, then staying with God is another thing. And while in the beginning it was all about awe and inspiration from Pradeep sir. Then we
Hmm.
saw also evolve. We saw him also change from being somebody who was doing the work of God, his commitment, to somebody who was the messenger of God. And today, if you ask me, in many ways, he personifies God. Even though
Personifies God.
he said he is always very uncomfortable with the fact that he
Yeah,
is being personified as God, but the fact is that he is in many ways where God sort of resides as such.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's truly incredible, Rahul, that how he is what he is, and yet he's so untouched.
Oh yes.
He's totally not corrupted, and he's so innocent. And even if uh, there are times when you just become silent, I think you don't even need to clarify, or you need to check. It is something that, that if this is not God, then who is? He comes, and I think even with our human limitations, how else do you get closer to God
Yeah.
itself, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow, wow. So Rahul, just to further extend this conversation, what made you stick with God? 7 years is a very, very long time. Life happens. You meet people, you lose people, and there's cycles of relationships that go on, of your own personal growth, moving places, and you're professionally, you've been also, you've been changing, wearing so many hats, and you've played so many wonderful roles. How has your relationship with God changed over these years, and what made you stick with him?
Well, you said life happens. I would say life happened because of God. So in the sense that,
Wow.
once I got connected with him, and the amount of ease and peace that has come into life is so amazing. The events are still the same. The people are still the same. But what has been happening is your buttons are getting pushed even lesser and lesser. So reactions have changed as such, and there is so much of ease and peace. So there is something that we always love to say, saying nothing has changed, but everything has
Mm.
changed.
Everything has
So
changed.
over the 7 years, while this has been an experience at a very internal level, at a very gut level, one has also been, one is naturally engaging intellectually also with, whatever inputs are coming in. And it is now, in some ways, one can discern. I can still not say that one can clearly see, one can discern the deception, the metrics, and the Maya, and the various things that are happening around us in the world. And that sort of, gives you a fair amount of idea, saying that this reality that we see is much more complex than we think, and how the hypnosis keeps us tied down. And the reason I have sort of stuck with God is because somewhere it has given me a lot of sanity. It has made me get much more grounded as such. It's not that as if I don't have aspirations, or I don't have desire to create things, but then the attachment to the outcome has now started reducing a lot. I cannot say that it's all gone. We are still finally humans. There is still a lot of clutter in our minds. There's still a lot of clutter in our lives. But as the days are going by, being with God is reducing all the clutter. So that is in some ways such a profound experience that if you ask me, I would not have had it any other way than to be with God and stay with God.
Wow, I want to go on listening to you, Rahul. It is so
And,
profound what you said, and how beautifully you said that life happened because of being with God, right? Uh, just from my own personal experience, and just feeling a little intrigued at this point, Rahul, does this ever scare you a little bit? Because when you realize कि कितना कुछ है जो हमें पता ही नहीं, right? It's beyond our comprehension, and we are mere, you know we are we are nobody actually, and how significant we make our lives, and knowing just an iota of that, does that knowledge somewhere intimidate you?
well, I would want to put it in a different way. I mean, if you see the world around you, if you see the nature, everything is so beautiful, everything is so deep, everything is so intense. But somewhere you realize that, once you've held God's hand, you know, that's what is more important. And if I can use Sir's word saying, "Aap God ko pakad ke latak jao." So that's what it means. And you find that the more you engage or clasp, or uh, engage with God, or choose Him and accept Him, the more you become free. You become free from a lot of bondage, and so it's not as if that you are getting tied down to some protocol or some other thing. And as far as being scared, somewhere I was never a person who believed in rituals. So for me, it was much more easy to let
Yeah.
go of the rituals. And the second thing is a lot of things drop as you are in your journey with God, including fear. Your fear, which often comes and catches you from behind, your anxiety. A lot of these things are start dropping, because somewhere you have an assurance that yes, there is someone.
Somebody to
We
Someone
call
to
it
take care
God
of.
because that is the terminology that we use, but
Yeah,
he is
yeah.
Paramatma,
God, Paramatma.
he's the original one. So I
Yeah.
don't think there was any scare as such at any point of time. There's only comfort and more of it, more and more of it as it comes through.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Wow. And how just being with God is enough, even though we are living in the human journeys, and as you rightly said, we have aspirations, but deep down we know कि मिला तो अच्छा है, नहीं मिला तो भी I have God. There is this
Yes,
always this thought at the back of the mind which you keep finding comfort in, that
yes,
whatever it is, at least I have God,
yeah,
right?
true, absolutely, absolutely.
Great. So thank you so much for this amazing conversation, Rahul, and
And as we,
sharing your thoughts, your personal journey. We are coming to an end, but before I let you go, what is your message to the world, to the people who are seeking God?
Well, I think we come with a lot of preconceived notions. We have a lot of programming in us, and we tend to believe a lot of things. I would invite everybody saying, don't go where we are coming from. Don't even think whether it's God or not God. There is a modality available to you where you take a healing card and talk to that healing card for 30 days. Do it like a scientist, and don't judge it, every day. But at the end of 30 days, but do it, with a rigor. Make sure every day you talk to the card. And at the end of 30 days, you then, sit back and realize where you were 30 days before and where you are right now. And it doesn't come with any preconditions. It doesn't come with any strings attached. And just try
Yeah.
it out. I mean, God is such an allowing energy. He's such a loving energy that he doesn't, want you to do anything. Just be with him. So just choose him, and you can still live your life the way you were living all the while. So why not do that? So we have found so much of change in our life, so much comfort, so much ease and peace. Things are the same, but still they're not the same. So my message
Yeah.
would be that please try it out. We tried so many things in our life, try it out for 30 days. And if you think it doesn't work for you, which is, something that you should decide at the end of 30 days. And from my experience, I don't think that would be the reason or the case, but try it out for 30 days.
Yeah, and I love how simplistically you put that, be a scientist. And that reminds me of just one more question, Rahul, that you went to IIT and
Yeah.
you're an engineer, right? So analytical brain, you're always experimenting, and something has to be substantiated for you to believe in it or for you to follow it. So how was it for you 7 years ago when you came and when you started, the first, 1 month or so? What do you
Oh,
recall of that time?
it's very interesting that you asked me that. Even though I was a rational person from IIT, but somewhere during my IIT stint itself, I realized I came through some experiences where I
Mm-hmm.
realized that what we see and what we perceive through our five senses does not define reality. Reality is much beyond that. So there is a lot of paranormal that exists that we are not aware in our day-to-day lives, which you can't see, we can't perceive. But there are some people who can see, some people who can perceive, the clairvoyant, the clairaudience, and those sort of people. Those people have gifts. I never have had any gifts. But at the same time, that made me open to exploration. So when I, came to various modalities, for example, I have done a lot of healing modalities. I've done pranic
Mm-hmm.
healing. I've done access consciousness. I've done
Mm-hmm.
reconnective healing. But I never chose to be a healer. So I never went into any healing. But here, when I came, I found that, there is no boundary as such as to you have to be this or you have to be that. And there is no
Yeah.
requirement except that be with God. And, and that also came over the time. I mean, as I said, initially it was a lot of intellectual engagement that I had, with the depth of knowledge of Sir that he had, the depth, the clarity. But later, somewhere, it all started changing. So for me, it was a very easy transition. And the fact that I
Very
did not
organic. Mm.
yeah, I did not believe in rituals. I did not so much
Right,
believe
right.
in religion. I am a religious person, but I don't believe in so much. Also helped me to
Yeah,
do the transition rather smoothly. And for that, I think it was also the grace of God that helped me do the
yeah,
transition.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
a very important.
We may take
Uh,
all the credit for whatever we think we
Correct,
are doing.
correct.
Finally, there's a
So,
lot of ways that happens.
I let me put it like this: that even though we think we choose God, but actually it's God who's choosing us,
Oh,
isn't
yes,
it?
absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
and I think also being with God is so simple. It is so easy and simple. You just have to surrender, and everything else, all the clutter just drops, isn't
Oh,
it,
yes. Oh,
Rahul?
yes. The noise goes down.
Awesome. 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 Beautiful. And on that note, here we come to an end to this amazing, amazing session. Rahul, thank you so much. All of you who are listening, this is all about exploring life with God. And if you're not on that journey yet, I truly invite you uh, to consider to explore life with God.
Thank you so
Any
much.
last words, Rahul? Anything else you want to say?
Nothing much that we have already not said, but it's just that one thing I would want to leave with everyone is that once you come to God, nothing changes, but everything changes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Rahul. It's been truly amazing, profound, beautiful. I have no words, but thank you so much for your time. And it's been truly amazing having
Thank you.
this conversation with you. Thank you, God, and thank you, Rahul.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bob. Bye.